Hello everybody in the Burlesque Big Sister and Big Brother project group. My name is Helen Orford. I am a professional circus performer specialising in hula hoops, and I've been very kindly asked by Diva Hollywood to do a live Ask Me Anything session. So whoever's out there, give me a like when you join, say hello. This is an interactive thing. I just want it to be like me just chatting to myself, because that's just dross. So as I say, I'm a circus performer, and I have been for 10 years, professionally 10 years, and obviously I was training before then. I'm based in London, and I primarily now focus on high-end corporate events. Now a little bit about what's going on here. We have a little Ask Me Anything test group. Hello, Richard Stubbs. Hello, Trixie Blue. Hello, Diva Hollywood. I'll try not to interrupt myself too much. I'm really sorry. So we had a tester group. We did a little test video, and Diva said I needed to put something on this because I wasn't wearing makeup. So I put on a bit of face for you, put on a bit of slap, did my hair, and I put on my sparkliest costume of my own, which in its full glory, that's all you're getting. Behind me are my two other costumes that I perform with. I've got a non-LED act, which is performing with just silver hoops. I finished with a massive stack of them around my tummy. That's with this one here. And I've always performed with this one, and I've performed with this costume for about 5 years. So don't get too close to it because it really fucking stinks. But you know, Febreze, it's fantastic. This one is for when I get a client coming in and they say, I have got a really boring corporate event and you can't be sexy and you can't be alluring and you just have to wear white. That's where this thing comes in. Yay, anything to earn them pennies. I also have a corporate version of this one. Hello everyone who's joining, I can see you, hello, hello. A corporate version of this one, because sometimes it's a very intimate event, and if the lights don't get really dark, it could just be a bit weird, being like, looking like you're wearing tights everywhere, we can see the seams and stuff. So I have this one, which is basically just a skirt with shorts underneath, which I bedazzled, and I made all this one myself. In fact, all of these are bespoke. And then a little cuppy toppy here. Hey, so that's a little introduction about me, what I do. My main act that I do is like LED hula hoops. The hoops are fully coded so that when I do my acts, they change colors and do patterns and do company logos in time to my music. So my main act is just 1 6-minute act. Whoosh, bam, thank you, ma'am. So let's have a check on your comments. Evelyn Suzanne, you know what? I should have put on some glasses. That was my mistake here. Hello, I am at the day job, but fellow Cirque and Burley girl listening in. Hello. Well, I'd love to know what your day job is. Hello, Diva. Hello, Richard Stubbs. Hello, Trixie Blue. Hello, Alexandra Fonseca. Apologies if I said that wrong. Also, hello, Leanne and Misty Mina. So before I get cracking with the questions that have already been sent in and any questions you put on, also, if you get any questions coming to your mind now, put them in the comments because I will read them and I will get to them, I promise. I'll get to your questions soon, Richard, I promise. I just wanted to start on a quick story about how I got into circus, because it's kind of a bit cheeky. Now, I'm not going to lie, my entire career started on the basis of a complete and utter lie. Let that sink in. Complete and utter lie. So it started off with, I was training in evenings when I was 13 years old at a circus centre up in Sheffield. Now, it was mainly doing swinging trapeze and a bit of high wire and a bit of doubles trapeze. But the main thing is that I did not do silks. And silks are those aerial things that hang down and they get the lovely ladies doing acrobatics in them. If you remember the BBC One ident from before, that's what silks are. Never done that before. Roll forward. Hello, Leanne. Hello, Gabrielle. Hello, Rhiannon. Oh, hi. And yes, hello, Misty again. I've never done silks. Never done it before. That's a lie. I've climbed up them once. I got a rope burn. I came down. I did a little internal cry and went, fuck me, who does that? That's the worst. That's the worst thing ever, is aerial silks. Anyway, I saw an audition for a travelling circus. I went along to it. I was like, I could do trapeze, I can do a bit of acrobatics, I could do a bit of swinging, whatever. They went, we've got that. We've even got someone who does hula hoops. What we need is someone to do an aerial silks act. You know what I did? Yeah, I got an aerial silks act. I got the best aerial silks act you've ever seen. Just, it's a shame I don't have my silks with me, because I'd show you now, but I have, yeah, give me a job and I'll do my aerial silks act. Just you wait. And you know what? It bloody well employed me, and I rocked up. I was 16 years old. I rocked up and I did my silks act. But the thing is that I didn't just get there. So I think the takeaway for this isn't just lie and get a job. After that, I went home, and I'm from a little farming village in Yorkshire, and I've got a friend who had this sort of JCB hut. He had this big sort of structure where he kept his JCBs, and every night I'd go knock on his door, he'd reverse his JCBs out, and I'd hang up these silks that I'd been given. I'd found an old mat out the back of a gymnasium, put that underneath in the dust, literal dust. I had to like walk up in my trainers, and I would practice and I would train. And you know what, I pulled it out the bag, and I went there on the first day, 16 years old, absolutely wetting myself, and they loved it. And that was how I started my career, was just going and doing things. So I think the takeaway for this is just push yourself. Like if you've got something that's in the works, or something that you know, like inside, that you think that, you know what, I can do that, apply to that festival, go to that audition. Well, maybe practice before go to the audition, but sign up to the audition, send the email to the producer and be like, I've got something great that I want to show you, and then work on it, because there's all the time in the world to practice and train it before the day. But if you don't actually send that initial email, you're not even in the door. So I think just go for it. That's how I got into circus story originally. So what do we have here? Richard Stubbs asks, I need some cheap hoops. Where's the best place? So don't worry, I am cutting them, not hooping. They're sacrilege! I'm telling you where to get hula hoops if you're going to check. Okay, I'll tell you. I've also had a question in from Pinky Taboo. And you know what? I think the answer is going to be the same, although thankfully Pinky Taboo, apologies, isn't going to be a sacrilegious person and chop them up. So she's asked, I'm asking this on behalf of my mini-me Art, who is a hooper. Where's the best place to buy hoops? Now, all of my hoops are from a company called Witzigs, Witzigs. Witzigs. Wow, dyslexia's fun. Witzigs is the name of a company. They supply bean bags and rings and stuff to primary schools. So the hoops that I use are effectively children's hoops, but because they're thin and because they're light, I can move them really quickly. I can whack them around my body. I can do loads of them at once without injuring my back, because hoops, once you get 4 or 5 or plus, they start getting heavy, yeah? So I reckon go along to the website called Witzigs, give them a search in the Google search engine, you'll find them. That's where I get mine from. And the size that I've got are 900 millimeters diameter. They're quite thin though. So if you're Pinky Taboo, if your mini-me is very new, I recommend asking them to sign up to a hula hoop group. It's called Infinite Circles Community, ICC. And there are thousands of hula hoopers in there, and loads of them have their own Etsy stores, loads of them produce them themselves, so you can go on there. I'm sure they'll have loads of like discount codes that you can get and work out what's the best for you. But have a try different things, work out what works best for you. Moving on, hello. So, oh hello Vivacity, you lovely soul you. Evelyn, what LED hula hoops do you like? We have the local Hyperion Hoops company locally here that are rather nice. Fantastic. Now, I use a hula hoops from a company called Spin FX. They're called Phoenix Hoops. They've been taken over by a new company, but I believe the product is the same. I think they're about $400 each, so they can be pricey, but you invest the money, you make it back. Personally, I wouldn't recommend them. The hoops are incredible, but the technology is coming closer to the home. The issue that I have with my hoops is that as soon as I have an issue with it, they break. The best situation for me to do is to get out my mini screwdriver and a soldering iron and me to fix it, which is not my area of expertise, because if I needed to fix them, I have to send them across to America, get them fixed, send them back. I'm paying for postage, I'm paying for fixing, paying for import tax, which is a bloody slap in the face last minute before you're waiting for them to come in. And most importantly, they are out of your hands for a month or two, which is not acceptable. So I think Hyperion are a fantastic company. If I was starting again now and I wanted to buy myself some hoops, I personally wouldn't get the ones I've got. But I've invested a bucket load of money in them, so I'm not going to buy more. Cool, so going on to some of the questions I have been sent. Another one from Pinky. Website versus social media. Oh my gosh. So just to give a little bit of context, alongside performing all this time, I've been really working on sort of online marketing to the point that last year I went and got a little internship with a company. I worked for 1 month internship doing their social media. In fact, actually, no, that's a lie. I was doing like admin and answering the phone. And when I was there, I said, your social media could do with some work. That's a nice way of putting it. Can I do that alongside? And I did it to such an extent that they asked me to then come on full time as their social media person. I then transformed that company around, and they've got massive clients, and that's great for them. I decided to move on. I was then headhunted by a company that I now work for now, which is a luxury chalet company in the French Alps, and I have just signed a permanent contract as digital marketing manager. So in terms of marketing, I've been doing an awful lot of research recently, and just been investing time in working out what works, what doesn't work. Because I've been doing this, I've been starting to retire from the hula hoop community and from the performing world, but I still do the odd job. So with all that in mind, marketing, website versus social media, both. Do both. But I think what's really important is do it smartly. Like, you can throw enough spaghetti at the wall and hope that some of it sticks. But I think much more smart way of working is working out what is the message you're trying to get out, and also what you're trying to sell. So I think websites are fantastic for new producers to look at, a place to host your videos. If you can't put the full track on YouTube, it's a great place to put it there. You can go, hey, Google me, you've got all of my videos there, you've got all of my photos. But I also think that social media is where it's at nowadays. The first thing I do when I hear of someone is I look on Instagram. I check them out on Facebook. I check out reviews. It's all about social media too. Oh, look at all these love hearts. Thanks, guys. So yeah, social media is a big thing, but you got to think about what you're selling. So here's the thing: you need to come at the performing world as if it's the business world, because it's a business, and you need to work out what it is you're selling. Because you can't just say, well, I'm selling me, darling, it's just me, unless you're perhaps Dita Von Teese. But even she didn't at the beginning. You need to understand what your package is, and how that package could just be, well, it's Helen Orford. Well, of course. Or it's, I have got this incredible act, and that act is what I'm going to push. Or I am an incredible, I have an incredible life because of this lifestyle, and that's what you're going to push. But you need to be careful that everything that you put out, that every touch point of yourself, whether it be on your website, on your social media, on when they meet you at a gig, when they call you up, when you send them an email, that the message across all of these things is the same, so that people feel like they're getting the same thing, they know what they're getting the product. So yeah, my answer to that is definitely both. Do both. Be careful with loads of hashtags on Facebook. I don't think people use hashtags on Facebook. They don't really use them on LinkedIn if you use LinkedIn. Hashtags on Instagram, however, are a fantastic way to get people. But make sure, if you just do generic ones like hashtag showgirl, hashtag guilty, then you might not be selling yourself correctly. Whereas if you do it more specific to your area or your genre or where you want to be, that's a great tip from me. Good thing to use. All right, any comments now? Loads of new people. Chloe Hannah Lloyd, how are you, you cheeky devil? Hello, Angelica Bangs, Picky Taboo. Oh, I've answered your question. Oh, Miss Hoop. I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I feel embarrassed to say it out loud. So Miss Wonderful Hula Hooper, hello. So moving on to more questions that people have sent in. Again, if you get a question that you're thinking of now, drop it in the comments, because then that's how we can make this more interactive. Another question, here we go. Hi Helen, this is from Eli Saar. Again, apologies if I'm going wrong. Do you have any recommendations regarding performing aerial burlesque training? What's the market like? Access to venues? Thank you, and a kiss. I'm going to be honest, no, I don't know. And I think it's important in this industry to say when you don't know. I don't perform aerial anymore, and I don't perform burlesque. I think the best place to search them out would be with people who do that. And you know what? This industry is so supportive that you can slide straight into people's DMs and be like, hey, I want to get into this industry. Can you give me some tips on how to get into it? I mean, don't be that guy who goes, how can I get into that show that you did last weekend? Because that's not how it works normally. But if you just go in and be like, where's a good place to train? That's a fantastic place. The thing is, being a hula hooper, I can train in the garden, so I don't really have that concern. So I'm sorry, I can't answer that one. Here we go. Carly Dan. Hi Helen, I'd like to know what advice you have for getting more corporate gigs. I am a circus performer and I mostly do local events, but would love to branch out. Fantastic question. So a bit of context. I studied in London 3 years doing a circus degree course, which was basically just 3 years of like hardcore training, at the end of which I had a degree, which is basically useless. Who's going to look at that? But I had the training in place and I started applying for cabarets. I really got my groundwork in the performing world, doing cabarets and little variety shows and little children's shows. And at that point, I was ready to then move on to corporate stuff. I think if you're just fresh out, I've just made an act, can I do a corporate act? Can I do a corporate gig? You might struggle. I would recommend getting your feet. I don't know how you are, Kay. So, sorry, Carly. I'm going to mark them up so I know who's done what. Apologies. So to get corporate stuff, now this is the way that I've done it. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to do it. But effectively, what you want to do is you want to help the agent sell your act. Now, a lot of agents, they don't actually really sell the performer. They don't go, well, here is this act. Do you want to buy this act? They sell like a theme, or they sell a circus show, Greatest Showman, or White Party, or this and that and the other, glamour, 1920s. And so you need to have everything ready to give them so they can give it straight on to their client. So that involves having a little bit ready before you even approach them. Now, the things that you need ready are high-res images. I think it's helpful to have things on the stage, but if you're doing corporate events, it also really helps to just have like professional shoots as well as on the stage. Love heart. Oh, who sent that? So have your photos and have a full video of your act, although often they're not really interested in the full video, they're interested in a show reel. Now, when it comes to show reels, keep it within 1 minute. Not only is that fantastic for Instagram, it's also people's attention span are great for 20 seconds, and then they peter out, and a 1 minute is the maximum for like focused attention if it's something that they don't know what they're watching. I mean, if they're watching because they want to know your act, of course they're going to watch it through. But if they're like, oh, what's this video on Facebook? What's this video? Whatever, minute max. Especially if you're thinking that you're the client watching hundreds of proposal videos, keep it short, keep it snappy. And keep your best bits in it, no surprises. Otherwise, what's the point? They want to know what they're getting. So once you've got all that, you've got your images, you've got your also create some copy, and that means a little bit of text about what your act is. Basically, a short act description that just basically explains it. And I think in advance about what your fees are, because you don't want someone to call you up and be like, "Can you do this event?" Yes. What do you charge? And then you're on the phone going, 200, 5, 7,000. Think in advance what you want to charge. Draw a line in the sand for yourself, draw a top line, and just keep within that. And then you can sort of have some wiggle room for what they want. Once you've got everything in place, ready to sort of just give to them, work out who you want to approach. Because there are tons of corporate entertainment agencies out there, but there's no point yourself just sending your stuff to every single one, because 90% of them won't even answer, and you won't even know what they're doing. So if they only do sort of DJ and live music, why are you sending them your circus act? Or if they only do family stuff, why are you sending them your stuff in tassels or whatever? So you need to really make sure, do your research, and then approach them directly. I recommend picking up the phone. You find out an agency, a circus agency that I really like and really respect. They're called Sternberg Clark. I would find their email or give them a call. Hey, I'm this person, I've got this act, I want to do this, can I send you my stuff? Then they're expecting your email, so then when you send it through, you're already sort of halfway in, so then they're more likely to actually click the attachment, click the video. I think don't go overboard, don't send them loads of stuff, just be like, hey, here's 3 images of my 2 acts or 3 acts, and here's a link to this, here's a link to this, let me know if I can help you with any inquiries. Don't want to be sending loads of stuff. And make sure that all your promo material doesn't have your name on it, because they just won't use it. If I had a video at the end that said Helen Orford, hula hoop performer, they won't even think about sending it on. And I think lastly, to get corporate gigs, is have a fucking good product. Work on your product. Look at yourself objectively. Look at yourself. Is that an angry emoji? Oh no. Look at yourself. There's loads of love hearts there, so thanks. But look at yourself like objectively from the outside. Watch videos of yourself. Ask fellow performers who you trust there and trust them, not just like your mate, because they'll give you your mate's response of, you were fabulous. Ask someone that you trust and respect to be like, what do you think of my act? And then once you know that you've got a fucking good product to sell, go out and sell it. Because you only live once. Push your act on people, go out and celebrate life and trying to get to the dream places that you want. And I think it's same with performance, with cabarets and stuff. If there's one show that you really, really want to do, like your dream show, work towards it. That's my advice. Anyway, let's get to the live thing here. Loved watching you at Noir. You know what? I loved doing Burlesque Noir. It was such a fantastic feeling. It was one of those moments where I was on stage, and this doesn't happen often because usually I just sort of do my act and go. But I was on stage and I was doing my act and I went, take this in, Helen. Take this, because this sensation of being surrounded by people who respect your art, who respect what you do, who are fucking standing up for you, who have paid out the arses to get there, like, take this in, because it was just such an incredible moment, and that will stay with me forever. And I think that's one of those shows that you only really do once, because there's so many fantastic performers out there and they need to show them all. So I'm so glad you enjoyed that evening too, because I had an absolute ball. Tell me I had a ball. So Ailey, thank you Ailey Hoop. I'm really sorry. Hashtag gorgeous hooper. Angelica Bangs, you charmer. All right, Kitty Campari, hello. Hello Talita Diaz. Oh my gosh. What an age since we performed. I remember when we used to perform at, God, I can't even remember it. We were next to the venue that had the show Warhorse on Drury Lane, and we'd go and I'd do like the odd act, and that was fun. And you were running around like pouring tequila in people's faces. You know, that was a ball. That was a good night. Kiki Lahula, hello, Katrina darling, hello. You were amazing. Oh, Richard, you charmer. Hello, Yippee IK. Diva Hollywood, hi. How do you deal with stress and you don't feel happy, but you still have a gig off? I can tell me about that. Or push yourself to get gigs when you feel like that. Okay, so I'm going to be upfront now. I struggle seriously with anxiety. I struggle occasionally very seriously with depression, and that can be a debilitating factor in a career where you have to be happy all the time, and you have to be presentable, and you have to be extroverted, and you have to post pictures of yourself smiling in gigs. I think at the end of the day, you need to, well, for myself, I had to take a step back and realize that this is a career. If I was working in accounting and I had a shit day, I'd still have to go in and do my spreadsheets. And it's your duty, once you've booked in a gig and you've booked in a show, you have a duty to your audience to do the best that you have, so the best that you can. So for me, the thing that would push me out of bed when I cannot get out of bed, I'm not feeling it, I do not want to do this gig, especially if it's some dross corporate where, yes, you're being paid well, but you know that people are just going to be fucking watching through their iPhones, and this is literally all you can see, the whole film. It's just a sea, the whole show, just a sea of iPhones, and you just, oh God, you just don't want to do it. But the people who are watching want to watch you, and they've sometimes paid to watch you, or their employer has paid to watch you, and you have a duty, or this is how I see it, this sounds very like you, I'm sorry, I feel like I have a duty to do my best for all those who are expecting that of me. And yes, there have been shows where I've had horrific panic attacks in the dressing while I've gone to like the toilet. I had a panic attack. I've had my therapist on the phone and I'm going, I physically cannot do this, and he's calmed me down, and I've had literally 3 minutes to wipe off my makeup and get my arse on that stage and do the act, and afterwards I've got fantastic reviews from it. But I think if you've got a gig booked in and you don't want to do it, you need to think about the days that you love your job and the people who are going to watch that and the lives that you're going to impact, and the people who are going to watch that and go, you know what, she's made me feel great about myself today. Or you see them watching, especially myself, when I see people in the audience, 100% of the time they're sat there like this because they're hula hooping with me, and I really vibe off that. In terms of like, how do you push yourself to get gigs when you don't feel like that? How do you push yourself to get out? I look at my mortgage bill, have a little cry and go, okay, I'm going to go out and earn some money. And I think it's important to take the rough with the smooth. Like, there are going to be days where you don't enjoy your job, but there are going to be days like Noir where you fucking love your job. And a lot of the time, gigs that I don't feel like I'm going to enjoy it, I get there, I put my face on, then I go there, and then I do the show, and I have just the best time. And often the dread of doing it is up in here, and it's not actually real. So I think it's important to work out what works best for you, what inspires you, and vibing off the audience, because they're gonna love themselves. They're gonna love engaging with you. So that's what drives me. Okay, tell the bunny club story. Okay, you seem so confident, can't believe what you just said. Da, da, da. Isn't it like 1 in 4 people struggle with poor mental health? Like, come on, let's just talk about this. Like, so many people struggle. It's like more common than a fucking cold. Let's be honest. Moving on. The bunny club, the Playboy club. All right, I'll tell that story. So, I rocked up to the Playboy Club. This is another gig that I'd literally, like at the beginning, I just pushed myself for. I didn't know if I was good enough to do it, but I emailed them. I managed to get in the door. I rocked up, and the first thing that the employer said as I walked in the door was, "You're short. That's good," and then walked off. And I was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, kind of weird. And I got in there, and I shit you not, the ceiling was like here. It is so fucking low in that club. I bet even fan dancers are like, it's so low, and I'm there trying to do my hoops. Well, I tell you what, they have got chandeliers hanging in that place no longer. So they've got these chandeliers that are hanging, and I'm there doing like the lowest lunge possible just to try and get my hoops in. I'm like hula hooping like this to try and yeah, I took out like 3 clearly expensive beads of glass off this chandelier. They went flying. One went in someone's drink, one went in someone's lap, one went on the floor like skittering across, and it was a bloody nightmare. And afterwards I just went with it, and I thought, well, I'm never going to work here again because I've blown that one. And yeah, they employed me again. Obviously word didn't get back to the employer that I broke their expensive chandelier, and I came back and I looked at that chandelier and quite a few more pieces had gone, and I was like, I swear I only took 3 of them off. Now, I'm not going to name and shame because I ain't no grass, but they'd had a number of other hula hoopers in between those bookings, and us hula hoopers, as London hula hoopers, collaboratively were taking down the Playboy Club one little chink of chandelier glass at a time. And I never felt bad about smashing off another bit after then, because I was like, you know what? You get what you ask for. You know what you've got in the roof, and if you're going to employ hula hoopers, that's all you get. I think in the end, actually, the 3rd time that I went there, I noticed that the whole chandelier, because it's tiers of glass, like the bottom tier, they'd just taken off all the random ones, and it was just like a whole tier higher. That's the Playboy Club story. You're welcome. That was always a fun one. They had fantastic dancers there. I forget their names, actually. Was it Rouge Girls or something? But they did really fun. There was just a really fun vibe there. And backstage, you wouldn't believe, the backstage at the Playboy Club is like a complete rabbit warren. Excuse the pun, but it was just like, you learn where to go, because it was like, I got lost so many times. All right, so I think I'm going to go on to some more of these questions that people have sent in advance. Here we go. Hi, Kat Hopwood Lewis. who I believe is also another hula hooper. Hi Helen, I would be interested to know how much of your hooping is choreographed and whether you ever leave sections for flow. Yeah, absolutely. My acts are 100% choreographed to the point that looks, winks. Everything is like perfectly in time. As I've said before, I treat this industry as a business. I'm a businesswoman and I'm selling a product. And when people buy a product, in my mind, it's, for me, from my act, it is a very defined product. So wherever I perform it, here, there, or wherever, it's exactly the same, unless I fuck up and throw a hoop, and then you get a special little improvised section. But that's what I aim for. It is identical. Now, it's a twofold thing. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because you do the same fucking thing every night. And that can be quite dross for yourself, but it means that you know that you've got a good product, and if you want to create new things, you can create new things. That's interesting because in the traveling circus, which is the industry from which I've come, acts are almost passed down. Well, they are passed down, just like you would pass down the house or your fortunes to your children. You pass down your act. So people would create an act, and they would do the act for their entire career. They would do their sort of trapeze act for their entire career. And then when they retire, they would hand the act to their child, and their child would then, before a child is probably grown up by then, would then perform their traditional family act going on. So it's very interesting that coming from a circus background, I now find myself in the position where I'm just doing the one defined act, and perhaps if I have a child, I end up doing the bloody same thing. But I think there's definitely something to be said for leaving sections for improvisation. I certainly have moments in the act where I choose to look in different places and I try and interact with different people. But from when people buy an act of mine, it is 100% locked down, identical now as it was 3 years ago. It is a lockdown product. But I often do walkabout performances, and that is so people, when they book me, they either buy the 6-minute act, or they buy walkabout, which is like ambient performing, which I often do 3 lots of 10 minutes, because I think after 10 minutes of hula hooping, like, everybody's fucking bored. I'm bored, they're bored, let's get on with it. Yeah. In that section, I love to improvise, especially if there's live music. I did a gig the other day. They had a live DJ, they had a live electric violinist, they had electric saxophonist and a drummer, and occasionally this woman came in and was singing as well. And I tell you what, that was an incredible evening. We were all vibing off each other. They had a number of other performers, and we're all there doing our thing, enjoying each other's art forms. And there was a moment in the evening where you could tell that all of us performers didn't actually care about the audience, because we were just having a fantastic time just performing and collaborating and just vibing off each other and hearing the music change and changing your tricks. And yeah, so for walkabout, definitely 100% improvised. I mean, I have my set sort of moves and I sort of work through them and try and mix it up between multiple hoops and single hoops. And when I get tired, I just do like body hooping or then arm hooping. But as it comes to acts, alrighty, Angelica Banks, love her, thank you. All right, Trixie Blue. How many hours a week do you practice? You ready for this? None. But I've had 10 years of training really fucking hard to get to this point. And I don't really recommend not practicing. It depends. I mean, you could say that I'm quite stagnant in that respect, because I'm not changing anything. I'm not working on new tricks. I'm not doing anything. But in my mind, I've got my act, I'm selling it. And I'm not training anymore. But in order to create my 2 acts that I primarily do, I trained in a circus centre for 3 years. I was working in a travelling circus then. I got a 3-year BA honours degree, first class, thank you, in circus arts. And even then I was in continuously training afterwards. So I guess for me, it's akin to, again, asking someone who's a mathematics teacher, oh, how much teacher training do you do? Well, that's a lie, because they probably do it. An accountant, how much accounting training do you do? And it's actually not that much once they've done their degree. So in my mind, it's kind of like that. I probably should do more. There's performers out there like, how do I say, Ailey, who's forever training, fantastic performer. If you need a hula hooper, and I'm not about, go to Ailey, she's great. or just go to her. She's great. She's forever training, doing hand balancing, and you know what? It's inspiring to see other performers working hard on their craft, and so I'm probably pretty bad at that. Apologies. What inspires me? Performers who train, performers who push themselves, costumes. As you can see, all my costumes here are made bespoke. They're all made with a specific goal in mind. So I get inspired by different costume design and other performers and pieces of music, essentially, because I was a professional musician for 10 years. I'm older than I look. I know I look 12, it's fine. So yeah, the music is a big inspiration for me. I used to perform with a touring circus when I was a young teenager. So I'd be going around Poland. I went around Spain and Germany with a fully sized symphony orchestra, with little old me with my massive fuck off harp. I had a great time, but because of that, music is a big push for me. I hope that answers that question. As we're going, any questions that you think of, put them in the live, or just say hello, because it can be quite lonely over here chatting to myself. Okay, Diva Hollywood, hello. What age were you when you first started performing? 8. Professionally, 8. So I started circus performing full-time when I was 16, but performing in general, I was 8 years old. And that's because I played harp, classical harp, as I've just mentioned. And I started performing in weddings at the weekends, and then while I was going to primary school, and I loved it. I got to perform all the music that I was meant to be practicing. I got to rock up and I'd play like versions of Coldplay on my massive harp. I was so small, I had a little footstool to put my feet on because my feet didn't reach the floor, and I loved it. You know what? That was such a unique selling point for people who had a wedding or a christening or even did a couple of funerals, was to have a little 8-year-old performing. So that 8 was when I started performing full time, and I've been working ever since. Love it. What is the top piece of advice you would give someone who wanted to work on circus skills? The top piece of advice. Don't give up. And I think that's kind of applicable to many, many things. Just don't give up. If you've got a dream, if you've got an aspiration, if there's something that you want to do, even if you just want to do it for yourself, just keep going at it. Even when you're feeling like you're not feeling very inspired, or you're not feeling it, or you've had a bad training session, I think just go for it. And if you want to learn a new circus skill, there's plenty of like circus training courses around. If you've got megabucks, who does? But there is like adult courses around at specific circus centres. But if you want to do something like ground-based, there's plenty of juggling clubs that are free to go to, or a couple of quid to go to, and you can rock up. And people, jugglers, love sharing our skill. We just love sharing. And I call myself a juggler because, side fact, the definition of juggling is manipulating more objects than you are using limbs to manipulate them. So, for example, if you're doing 3 balls in 2 hands, or 2 balls in 1 hand, or 5 hula hoops on 1 body, it's all manipulation, it's all juggling. So I rock up to a juggling club, and I swear, if you just rock up and be like, I want to learn to do hula hoops, or I really quite like fire staff, or I want to do poi, or I want to do, there's so many fantastic things, or there's loads of people who want to learn to do acrobatics, and there's people out there who've got the skill to teach a partner who just don't have a partner. Like, go out there, find them the groups, message people, and just get yourself out there and push yourself. Don't give up, keep training. That would be my recommendation. And I think if you want to go in one direction but you feel like your heart is pulling you in another, don't resist it. So I started off doing aerial swinging trapeze, which is effectively like, imagine like old traditional flying trapeze. Yeah, but it's like that, but you don't let go, and it's one trapeze. So you're just swinging on the one trapeze on your own doing tricks. I started doing that. Problem was where I was training, this was when I was 13, 14, when I was training, there was only one trapeze and there was a bunch of people who wanted to do it. So you'd do your 5-10 minutes and then you'd be shattered. So you'd come down, give someone else a go. And when we were down, people would be chatting, they'd be stretching. And that's when I picked up the hula hoop. And I would just learn to do a little trick with the hula hoop, learn this, learn that. And I used that time quite sensibly because I trained another skill. Now, when I was in the travelling circus, I'd had quite, actually it was before the travelling circus, it was on the swinging trapeze. I'd had quite a bad accident. I was trying to do standing on the bar, you swing back, you let go, and you hang on your ankles. I was a bit of a wuss. I let go too late, I slid through, and I smashed my back on the bar, and then I fell down. Now, ever since, my back was quite injured, and it then was exacerbated performing in the travelling circus, doing trapeze there too. And it meant that when I was at Circus University, because we went in with without a discipline for the most part, and then you'd specialise once you've had a bit of assessment on different disciplines. I was there going, I'm a trapeze artist, I do swinging trapeze, I do this is what I love to do, can I do that please? And when I had my assessment, I couldn't hardly do any of it because I was just so injured, so sore. And then as like a throwaway thing, I said, okay, well, let's do a hula hoop assessment, why not? And they pushed me towards the hula hooping. And you know what, that was the best decision of everyone at that time, because I had a fantastic teacher. It means that now that I can perform in loads of different venues that don't have rigging, that have low ceilings, like the Hocking Playboy Club, I can perform on a moving boat, like with the Wham Bam show. That was fantastic. That was on a HMS or RS Hispaniola or something, and the boat was like rocking. You can't do that if you're an aerialist. And so I feel like a whole world of career was opened up just because I just sort of tried something new, and I didn't go, no, I'm an aerialist, I must do this. I've come here to do 3 years of training, that's what I'm doing. And so if you want to learn circus skills, if you want to go in and be like, I would like to be a trapeze artist, don't resist it if you feel like you've got an aptitude elsewhere or that you enjoy something else more. That'd be my tip. All right. Hey, Michelle Jinx. Evening, Liberty Breeze. And how is the instruments grade exams going? Have you completed the 10 instruments? Now that needs a little bit of backstory. So as I've said, I love playing music, I love being creative, I love learning new skills. And I got really drunk one night and decided that to support a charity that I really like and support, which is called Solace Women's Aid. It's a charity in London. They give money, therapy, housing, just support, encouragement to women and children who've been subjected to domestic abuse within London. And so I thought, to raise money for them, I would do 10 grade 1 exams, which is like the base grade, in 10 instruments I've never touched before in a year. Now, the sort of general feeling is that amongst professionals is it takes 1 year to pass grade 1 in an instrument, and I was going to do 10 in a year. I like everything I do. I just went for it. I pushed myself. I went for it. And yeah, I'm really pleased to say that I raised a bunch of money, just short of £900, I believe. And of the 10 exams, I got 8 distinctions and 2 merits, which was hilarious. I even got a distinction in a fucking tuba, which was just, it was just hilarious. It was a lot of fun, actually. And yeah, I'm really proud of everyone who supported me in that. And if anybody's now going, well, that's mad, can I throw her some money, please? Here's a cheeky thing, www.justgiving.com/Helen Orford, and you can find my page, you can see my story, you can throw in a tenner, throw in £5. It's the challenge is over, and I've done it successfully. But if you want to support a fantastic charity, that's a great way to do it. So thank you for asking. You took music grades on different instruments. What is this year's challenge, Helen? Oh Jesus, I'm gonna sleep, Angelica Bangs. No, this year's challenge is exploring creativity in fields outside of performing, I think. So as I said, I've taken on a full-time job this year as digital marketing manager, so I'm really proud of. Completely different direction, having not had a side job or another career while performing. So this is my first ever normal real job. And I think my challenge this year is to find creative outlets that I can do alongside that, because it's a fantastic career. I'm loving it, but it's not, I don't meet you fantastic show people and have the glitz and glamour of the world every night. So I think it's a way of just expressing myself creatively, whether that's I'm really enjoying playing the piano, I'm enjoying doing some drawing that I'm doing, I'm really enjoying playing. So one of the instruments from the 10 was fiddle, and I've taken up playing Irish fiddle, and I'd really love jamming in a bar playing Irish fiddle, and so that's really what I'm working on this year. Thank you for asking. Hello, Red Sarah. So moving on. Did you have a lot of support from your family? So my family have nothing to do with circus. They have nothing to do with performing, although they were all musicians in the sort of classical field. But none of them are what you'd expect for someone who ran away with the circus when they were 16. But how have they been supportive? They have been incredibly supportive. I mean, the first thing when I said to my mum I want to do it full time was, can you make money from it? Because that's what they want to look after their baby. Can you pay your bills with it? Is there money to be made in that field? And I think what we did at the time was I knew of a local performer. So if you ever want to do this with your family, I knew of a local performer, and she was game. I was 15 at the time, and she met me and my mum. We went to her house, and she showed me her accounts. And she, honest to God, she went through all of her accounts. She showed the profits, she showed the losses, she showed me her envelope, which we all have, stuffed full of receipts. And she took me to a gig. And the three of us, her, my mum, myself, my mum, and her, went to this gig. It was in a salsa bar in Sheffield. And I'll forever be indebted to her because, well, we all got a salsa lesson first. And then we got to sit there and watch her do her craft, which was an aerial silk. So I actually did 2 that evening. And then we went home. And so then I could show to my mum, I was like, look, we've seen her accounts. You can see that she lives in a house. Like she's not like still in her parents' room or whatever. That's still fine, no judgment. But she's paying her rent. She's performing. You've seen what the performing world is really respectful. The people in the audience were loving and adoring of her act and respecting of that. And you knew afterwards she was getting paid for that. And we knew how much she was getting paid for that. I think it was 150 quid or something. And I think after that, my mum was like, okay, fine. Yeah, you can do it. And I think I think that's how I got the support from them, was knowing that it is a viable career. So I think if you ever have anyone saying, oh, is this a career? What's your real job? Just say, no, this is my real career. This is a real job. And if you want, I can show you my accounts, because hell, that worked for my mum. Oh, moving on. If you ever want to wood turn, give me a shout. Make your own apple. You know what? My Instagram has been filled with people doing the wood turning of like Crayolas melted together and making wood. I will give you a shout. I love trying new things. I will give you a shout. Thank you, Richard. Diva Hollywood. My granddad played his fiddle in pubs, singing naughty stories about royalty. Your granddad sounds right up my street, Diva Hollywood. Yeah, no, it's a great, and I think for me, coming from a classical background, being able to play an instrument while having a drink was revolutionary, and being able to sort of improvise and play without sheet music and not worry if you get a note wrong, that was really refreshing. All right. Hello, Athena Beauvoir. Hello. I'm really bad at names. I'm sorry if I say them wrong. Also, not got my glasses on, so that's what I'm going to blame all that on. Here we go. Liberty Breeze, if you're still with us. Newbie here with a couple of questions. Hello. What would be your top tips for tackling social media as a performer? Hi. We mentioned this a little bit before. I think work out what you're selling, which I've said before. Make sure that you know who you are. And I think it's actually really important, unless this is your selling point, I think it is important to keep your performing world separate from your private world. So, I mean, you don't have Apple online with Steve Jobs being like, hey, I've just gotten up and had a croissant. Like, they keep the world separate. And although he wouldn't now, insensitive. So I think keeping them separate is important, unless, of course, you are selling yourself and selling, oh, I'm a genuine person, book me, I can be your friend. That's a totally legit thing. But if you're saying, I am this desirable, ethereal being that isn't real in real life, keep them separate. Talking about social media, I promised I'll do this, so I'm going to do this. The lovely Holly Mae Johnson, of which we all know, or should know, she's fantastic. She does the 21st century burlesque. She does like burlesque branding. She has got a new course in branding and selling yourself on social media. So anyone who wants to really up their social media game, crack on to her website. They've got a course, I think, starting on Sunday. And you know what? It's not expensive. I think it's $200, which in British pounds isn't that much. If you're thinking of like, well, I can get 1 gig from this, I can get 2 gigs from this alone, you've made it back, okay? So if you head to www.burlesquebusinessnetwork.com, so that's burlesquebusinessnetwork.com, and I'll make sure we put this in the group later. She's got a great course. Go to her, and she's the real shit. She knows what she's doing. So go to her, and she's got some fantastic tips. You can really get into your own branding. Another final tip I think on social media is to look at your stuff objectively. So what I like to do is I like to pretend I'm not me, which is easy when you when you struggle with knowing who you are. Oh God, real talk. And go on your social media and pretend that you are. So let's say I desperately want to do this show, or I desperately want this person to like me. Then you'll go on your social media profile and pretend that you are that person, and look at your work objectively and think, if I've never seen this person, if I don't even know this person, what's the image I'm going to get? And if all you're getting is pictures of avocado and toast and some people backstage having fun, then perhaps they don't get the image of that you want to give out, which is, oh, I'm glamorous and I'm fantastic on stage, if that's what you want to give out. So I think that's a good tip, is look at your stuff objectively. And again, you can change the privacy settings. You can have different stuff for your friends and different stuff for people who are looking. Basically, you want people who, they've seen you on stage, they've heard the producer say your name, they go on Instagram to check you out, and you want your Instagram to replicate or to endorse what they've just seen on stage, because you don't want to get to your Instagram and feel like it's a completely different person. That would be my takeaway tip for you there. You said it correct. Thank you, Athena. So that would be my tip. And again, don't forget Holly May's course, burlesquebusinessnetwork.com. Hey, okay, going on to a few more questions. What are some of the common mistakes or things to be mindful? That's from Liberty Breeze again. And I think that's in regards to sort of social media. You know what? Don't feel bad if you've only got 500 followers. Don't feel bad if the person that you aspire to work with has 100,000 followers, because to be honest, followers on social media, they're just like vanity metrics. They're complete vanity metrics. Like, you can buy Instagram followers. So to say I've got 50,000 followers, but then you go on the posts and they've got like 50 likes on each post, it looks fucking suspicious, and everybody knows it. So yeah. So my point would be is it's better to have 50 followers, and those 50 followers be people who are going to book you, and people who are going to like your photos, who are going to share your content, who are going to buy a ticket and turn up at your show. It's better to have them as followers than to have 1 million followers who only like your photos once a year and they don't even know who you are. So don't feel bad, or don't feel like you need to go out and earn thousands and thousands of fucking followers online, because it's quality, not quantity. You only need, to be fair, if you just want that one massive contract, you only need the producer as your follower. That's what it is. And there's a new trend recently of wanting to have loads of followers, because then people will book you because, oh, I've got a massive following. But the reality is that producers talk, and if you rock up with no one in tow with you, then it's going to get around. So I think be genuine to yourself, and don't worry about trying to get tons and tons of followers who mean nothing. That'd be my takeaway. Hello, Jerry A. Frenette Wood. Hello. All right. Final few questions, I think. Okay. I think something that I want to sort of come to a close with, because I feel like we're sort of coming out. Unless you have any dying questions, ask them now, please. Is this industry, the main way that people get gigs is through referrals? And you can have the best website in the world, and you can have the best Instagram in the world, you can have the best act in the world, but if people don't know about you, if other performers don't know about you, it's going to be difficult to sort of get yourself on more and more stages. Because in the reality is that even if people put a casting on Facebook, hey, I need a burlesque performer, blah, 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 they need a 5-minute act. If people don't know your name, they're not going to tag you. So I think a good way of getting into new shows and getting into new events is to go along to the show, meet the producers, meet the other performers, tag them afterwards, and just introduce introduce yourselves to them. Because if people don't know your name, they're not going to be able to book you, and they're not going to know what to search on Google. So that'd be my one takeaway. And unfortunately, the scene in London, at least, and I'm sure it's like this in many other cities, it's a really tightly knit community, which is fantastic in the respect that we all support each other and everybody's there, everybody's got each other's backs. But it does mean that it's a bubble that can be really difficult to break into. Excuse me. So I think it's important to try and get like respect from your peers and to network with them, because as soon as you start networking with other people, this group is a fantastic place for it. So as soon as you've got a new act or a new idea, you can let people know about it. So as soon as they hear a casting, they can be like, hey, I remember that person who also did that, and they can put you in touch. And don't, there's a lot of don'ts. Let's do some do's. Approach producers thoughtfully. So if you want to do a cabaret show, or let's say you've got an act, you've got a new act, it's fantastic, it's the most incredible act you've ever done. Don't just send that to every producer in town, because a lot of them won't be applicable to your stuff. A lot of them will not pay what you want, or they're looking for a completely different performer, or you don't want to work with the performers that they got on stage, or you rock up and it's literally just skinny white girls, which in myself is a big no-no for gigs. I just won't work for someone again if I rock up and that's what I see. But hey, we all have lines that we draw in the sand. You can draw your own. But I think it's important to work out what you're selling, and then find the producers that are right for you, and then approach them directly. It's the same with corporate events. It's the same with cabaret and any kind of stuff. Find the person who you would be the perfect fit for, and then rock up and be like, hey, I can solve your problem. I've got an incredible act that you can put in your show now. Because I think if you spam every producer, you're not even going to impress the ones that are applicable and are going to love you. So if you agree with that, give me a thumbs up, because it's weird just chatting to yourself. It's not often you do that. Oh, thanks, guys. Okay, so I think we're sort of coming to an end here. Thanks, guys. I get the occasional angry face. If you are angry, I'm really sorry. I can't please everyone. I think it's coming to a close here. So I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Oh, there's another angry. Oh, someone's really upset. So I think if you are watching, thank you for watching. Obviously, you're watching. You're here. But yeah, thank you for taking the time to watch me, to hear what I have to say. You've got about 30 seconds to ask a final question while I round it up. Yeah, I think the final takeaway from all this is to work out who you are, what you're selling, and believe in it, and be really clear in the message that you send out. This is who I am. I am here. I am here to stay. I am fantastic. And this is why you want to book me. And if you package it all up into one fantastic thing, this is what I've got, then I think that's a great way to go forward. And just push for your dreams, guys. If you're feeling sad, or you're feeling depressed, or you're anxious about something, reach out, because the majority of us has been through it. We've all, especially the big brothers and sisters, we've all struggled in some aspects of our careers. If you just reach out, if you want help in any kind of way, if you want any sort of mental health sort of support, there's groups out there, there's people out there. So I just think, look after yourselves, respect yourselves, and go out there and kick ass. I think that's all I have to say. Any final points? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, thank you, guys. It's been my absolute pleasure. Over and out.